Today, I have a very interesting video for you. Welcome to part 2 of the historical tornadoes, season number 1. I have a very interesting tornado for y'all today. I have a 1930 Montello, Italy tornado. Yes, you heard me right, Italy. This is the story of Italy's only F5 tornado. So this happened on July 24th, 1930, which is a while back. So there's not a lot of pictures or even a lot of documentation like tornadoes today, but there is something. The tornado lasted 35 minutes and was rated a T10 on the Toro scale, which has a mile-per-hour threshold of 270 to 299 miles per hour and is classified as super damage. Entire framed houses and similar buildings lifted bodily or completely from foundations and carried a large distance to disintegrate. Steel-reinforced concrete buildings may be severely damaged or almost obliterated. And it was also rated an F5 on the Fujita scale, which has a mile-per-hour threshold of 261 to 318 miles per hour, and is classified as incredible damage. Here's the description for F5 damage. Well-built frame homes are blown away. Cars are mangled and thrown hundreds, possibly thousands of meters away. Trees are debarked. Giant objects are thrown like missiles. Devastation will occur. Here's a couple pictures. I'm going to go back to the first page. Here's a couple pictures from that tornado. This is a church. I believe this is the same church. You can see it was absolutely just destroyed. And I have no idea what this is. I'm assuming this is a building of some sort. Looks like a brick building. And then here's the church again. Here are all the towns affected by this tornado. So I'm going to go ahead and read this from a little document. The tornado initially touched down northeast of Cassoni, Italy at 1:08 p.m., immediately inflicting extensive damage to the town as it trekked eastward through the town. The tornado trekked for another mile before hitting Pozzetto, Italy at an estimated F4 intensity. We don't know what time this hit that town. Destroying a church and inflicting ground scouring. The tornado passed directly north of Caonarai and Corte, narrowly missing both towns while still remaining F4 intensity. The tornado then impacted the northern portions of Montello Vecchio, causing damage to multiple warehouses and killing one person. The tornado then crossed a river before trekking into Alberoni from the west. The tornado, now adopting a more northward path, rapidly strengthened, reaching high-end F4 intensity as it missed the towns of Grande and Penvecchio. The tornado began to track directly into the small community of Castello di Godigo, Italy, hitting multiple bars and warehouses at an estimated F5 intensity. Several people were killed, and the tornado caused extensive damage to the community. It destroyed a road in the community before beginning to track in a continued northward pattern. It hit the southern portions of Muson, Italy, causing damage, but no fatalities. The tornado began to move parallel to Via 27 Aprele before hitting the town of Valla F5 intensity. Valla was heavily damaged, with power lines being knocked over and roads being called impassable. As it was in the town center, it turned slightly more northerly, avoiding a collision with the town of Fenzolo, which may have caused more deaths. It began to track through less populated areas, avoiding collisions with small communities. The tornado narrowly avoided hitting Busta, and deep ground scouring was observed occurring at around this time. As the tornado crossed Via Santa Andrea, it began to turn to the south, avoiding the city of Montebelluna by around 2.5 miles, or around 4 kilometers. The tornado crossed multiple roads, destroying a large, well-built church at F4 intensity before turning northward once again. The tornado directly impacted Volpego del Montello at F5 intensity. Was it Montello? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Flattening well-built structures and sweeping an entire warehouse off of its foundation. The tornado killed multiple people and injured 50 or more people, and began to speed up, creating deep ground scouring while taking an erratic and unpredictable path. The tornado then curved slightly southward, hitting various structures and uprooting multiple trees. It began to curve sharply upward, hitting Selva de Montello at retained F5 intensity. Several people were killed, and a large church was completely destroyed. It sped up, narrowly missing multiple small communities, including Guevara del Montello. It crossed via Adite before crossing through the northern portions of Bavaria at a relatively low intensity. It crossed a small stream and hit multiple fields before crossing through the center of Sovea, causing heavy damage to houses and other structures in its path. The tornado continued in a northwestward direction, crossing a large river and hitting multiple small hamlets and villages at various intensities. As the tornado crossed through open crop fields, ground scouring was documented up to an estimated of at least 3 inches deep. The tornado hit the small community of Serrano, causing only minor damage to buildings before beginning to strengthen again. The town of Caposa di Sopra avoided a direct hit from the tornado, but damage was still documented in the area. The tornado entered a primarily uninhabited area of fields, causing intense damage to crops and trees. Shortly after, the tornado would enter the town limits of San Odorico in Sicily, tracking straight through the centers of both towns and causing extreme damage. The tornado also hit San Giovanni da Tempio, damaging houses and a commercial structure. The tornado would begin to rapidly weaken east of the village of Telmason, only causing minor damage to foliage and trees. It hit the center of Rovedo and Piano at a weak intensity, causing minor damage to structures and injuring one or more people. It passed north of San Quirino and crossed a large river before lifting at 1:43 p.m. That was a lot, but that is the entire life and path of this monster tornado. Here's a photo of it from tornadoarchive.com that I pulled off. You can see that this is a very long track tornado. In fact, it's an incredibly long track tornado. Here's some photos of the damage from this tornado, including the F4 damage to a large church in Volpego de Montello and damage to a building that I have no idea what it's made of, or I have no idea where this photo was taken because there was, well, there wasn't anything on it. Here's some words to describe the damage. I've already read this a lot, but I'm going to read it again. It destroyed a church and inflicted ground scouring, hitting multiple bars and warehouses at estimated F5 intensity. It destroyed a road in the community. Valla was heavily damaged, with power lines being knocked over and roads being called impassable. Deep ground scouring was observed up to 3 inches deep. It uprooted multiple trees, and it destroyed a large, well-built church at F4 intensity. It flattened well-built structures and swept an entire warehouse off of its foundation. It took an erratic and unpredictable path and caused extreme damage. Here is the final tally of this tornado. It killed 23 people, injured 110. The highest wind speeds in the tornado were recorded at over 260 miles per hour. We will likely never know this exact number because of the, amount of documentation and, stuff like that and technology back then. I don't know if we'll ever know the exact wind speed of this tornado, but this was an absolute beast of a tornado and one of the most violent in Europe's history. Here are some of my closing thoughts. The 1930 Montello F5 tornado was one of the most extreme and violent tornadoes ever recorded in Europe, causing a 50-mile path of destruction and death. It hit multiple towns and hit a few churches. This tornado was described as erratic. 23 people died during this monster tornado, and 110 were injured. This tornado will go down in history as Italy's only F5 tornado.